Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to the Boise Parks and Recreation Commission regular monthly meeting for this Thursday, December 16th. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And at first, we need to take attendance.
Faber, Johnson, here. Carter, McElroy, here. Raber, here. Ruziska,
Here.
Stidham, here. Urban, here.
Okay, our next item of business is the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda, items A and B.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Nothing? Okay. Next, under our new business, we have the minutes from our November meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes for November 18th, 2021.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Next, it looks like we have the Ivy Wild Park Master Plan Revision public hearing. We're going to hear from Superintendent Tomlinson on this issue before we open the public hearing.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the commission. Jennifer Tomlinson, Park Superintendent. Chloe, could I get my presentation up on the screen, please?
Yep, IT should pull it
Thank
up. There you
you. So this is a proposed amendment to the master plan for Ivy Wild Park. Ivy Wild Park is located in Southeast Boise. We were approached by the Skate Association and the Southeast Neighborhood Association to gauge interest in locating a skate spot, which we have started to locate in neighborhood and community parks across the city. Bowler is our most recent example, but this provides kind of a drop-in skating function for residents nearby the park. It's not the full skate experience like you would get at Rhodes or at Fort Boise. It is a place for some of our younger users to begin to hone their skills in the sport. So we sent out postcards to residents within 1 mile of the site. And our original proposal had the skate park being located just adjacent to Leadville. You can see it up here on the map. We did receive quite a few comments in support of it. We did get about 600 responses, of which 80% did support locating it in the park. The 20% that we heard from that were opposed to it were pretty opposed to it because of the location. So we went back, we took a look at the site, and we tried to find another spot for it that would be less impactful to the adjacent neighbors, because this northern property line does share a property line with, I believe, 3 or 4 residents. So we relocated it to an area in front of the pool that is underutilized right now. It's a turf area, but it abuts a large concrete area, and it isn't used, from what we can tell, terribly frequently. It's a smaller space. It also impacts less of the landscape, and it doesn't impact any trees in this location. And we heard from residents that was really important, that we do look at preservation of trees as part of locating this. So we sent the postcard back out, and then we got a lower response, but I think we got 20 emails, and I think we had 2 that were opposed to it. And the stated reason for being opposed to it was because of the location next to the walking path in Ivy Wild. A lot of people use that as a loop, as an exercise loop. So the location is separated from the path by a few trees and a little bit of a, there's a little bit of a buffer there. We don't have a final design on this yet because we are still in the early stages. And the Boise Skate Association, in partnership with the Southeast Neighborhood Association, are looking at doing a neighborhood reinvestment grant for the project. So we wanted to make sure that we got the location figured out before we got too far into the design details. So with that, we're recommending that we approve the location in this spot, and I will stand for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Do we have any questions first?
I have a couple. So I thought you said that there would be no vegetation needed to be removed. Is that correct?
We believe that's correct. So there is one tree that is near the area where we're looking at that is larger and old. That will most likely be preserved. We'll try to push the improvements up to the abutting concrete as much as we can.
Okay. And then if I don't feel like having people walk by who are exercising to be a great concern, I guess. You know, I mean, I think it's admirable that you reached out to the neighborhood to check with people that are adjacent to that, the previous location. And so I think the current location is much better, and you know, people walking by can listen to the skateboards smack on the ground while they're walking by, but it's not gonna disrupt them for too long. And so I do like the location much better. And I mean, if you needed to make it even bigger, I wouldn't see why you couldn't bulb out the sidewalk a little bit to make more room.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions?
Madam. Oh. Madam President, Commissioner Stidham, it was just, I think it was a concern with a conflict of use. So where we have uses that are adjacent,
Right.
You know, we generally tried to provide a buffer between those uses. So I think it's really just the adjacency with the walking path. During the day, it's a very quiet,
Yeah.
you know, serene type area. And so I could see there being some potential use conflict. That being said, during the day, you know, the skate area probably won't get that much use. So we're definitely looking at a opposite hours kind of use pattern that we would see. So I would anticipate us seeing a lot of skaters in the afternoon and evening hours. And then we get a lot of daytime walkers in this park.
Thanks for that explanation. And I would agree with Commissioner Raber. It looks like a really nice choice for location.
Thank you, Commissioner Stidham. All right, I think at this time, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Those wishing to testify, we're going to go ahead and begin with the people who are present here. Each participant will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. If you're a representative of a neighborhood association or other organization, please state that. If you are the sole representative for the organization, you'll be given 10 minutes to speak. When called to testify, please stand at the front, speak into the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and identify if you're speaking on behalf of an organization. And I will go ahead and call the first person on my sheet, and forgive me if I don't do well with your name, but I'll do my best. Tony Tortorisha? Oh, close. I'm sorry, Tony. If you'd like to come up to the microphone.
Is it okay to pull this down? Thank you. Thank you. I'll do respect to the what is attempting to be created here. I and my entire set of neighbors are vehemently opposed to this
Tony,
project.
I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt, but if you would state your name and address for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Tony Todorica, address is 2241 Colorado. I'm actually very close to the original site. It's still within 75 yards of my home. Again, very opposed to the noise and the traffic that will be coming here, the element, the people that will be coming there, and I don't suspect that that the boarders will go home at sunset because of lights and their friends there. I don't see why they would be going home at a particular time. They're going to be there into the night. I foresee them bringing their music to the place. We mentioned the potential clashes between the path. The path is right next to the borders, so it's a very popular dog park. So they're going to be right up next to each other there. It also occurs to me that we have a tremendous we have facilities here at Rhodes Park and at Fort Boise. That wasn't mentioned. They're very, very close by. So this minor park, I don't see how that will benefit the community whatsoever. That slapping sound, I think we know what that is. That's not pleasant. There's such a thing in the real estate, the quiet enjoyment of our property. And so that's not the sound that I want to hear. That slapping of the skateboards. And I think the police are going to have to come out and enforce that sunset thing. It'll be just another trip for them. And there are good reasons why we don't put these in residential areas. They're not a good fit for a residential area that's relatively quiet. And I've enjoyed the quiet of my space for quite a long time. I'd love to keep it that way. Nothing against the borders. They got other places to go. I'd like to keep the thing status quo. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, it looks like we have Josh Davis.
Did you say address as well?
Yes, please.
My name is Josh Davis. My address is 2471 South Charlotte Avenue in Boise, Idaho. I am here representing the Boise Skateboard Association. First of all, I just want to thank you for taking time to hear us and kind of give a little background on the skate spots and dots. They really are meant to just kind of create outlets for kids in local neighborhoods. These typically are not destinations for a lot of skateboarders to travel to. There are bigger facilities that can happen to, but what we're trying to do is create open spaces and activities for kids in these parks that may not have access to get all the way downtown, may not get access to have a ride to these specific places. And so there's numerous studies in showing that skateboarding can be really positive for a lot of reasons. It teaches commitment, responsibility, bravery, confidence, social skills, and stress relief. What we find is that these kids really need an outlet. And when a lot of our park systems, when kids get to a certain age, we find that the facilities don't necessarily have all the amenities that keep them engaged in those spaces. And we want to keep them outside and doing activities rather than just being inside and on their computers. So anything we can do to encourage these kids that ultimately become friends with people that they probably would never understand or be friends with. You find a common bond, and skateboarding, it's not easy. There's a lot of failures that are involved, but it teaches you how to overcome those failures. And there's a lot of good qualities that come from it. Being a professional business owner, I know that throughout my life, skateboarding has continuously kept me creative and looking at things from different perspectives and trying to understand a broader picture. And so we do have goals that we'd like to see more skate facilities throughout the city. For the most part, we're kind of underrepresented in our park system. And if you look at a lot of the usage that goes on at the skate facilities that we have, they're very well used. And so we want to be able to give that opportunity for all these kids in these neighborhoods and adults alike. And also it's not just features that are going to cater to skateboarders alone, whether it's scooters or bikes. A lot of these little small, they call them kind of skate spots or dots, tend to just kind of try and fit in with the environment. So I think the concerns about removing any vegetation, there's no set plot of land that we have to use. We can kind of integrate within. We can keep buffers that we need to keep buffers away from other spots, and just try to make it look like a natural part of the rest of the park. I don't anticipate this being extremely high usage, but it does create another outlet for kids to have activities to go do. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Next is Lori Wright.
Hello, my name is Lori Wright. That's very loud. Madam President and Commission, thanks for having us here. I am a longtime Boise business owner. I had a skate shop and snowboard shop for a long time, since retired, semi-retired. Still on the Boise Skateboard Association Board of Directors. I was very much encouraged that the park system responded to the 20% that was concerned about the noise and being close to their house and moved it, the skate park. And we feel like it's been a flexible thing that we can flex around trees and still provide a space for kids. But the main point I wanted to make here that I think everybody should hear is that some point kids lose interest in playgrounds, and at that 10 years, 9 years old, something like that, but they can't drive across town to Rhodes Park. We're looking at kids that are in about a mile of that can skate or scooter or bicycle to this spot. And I sure see a lot of kids scootering and biking and skateboarding, and we want the neighbors to be happy. We want this to be a positive thing for our young people as well as for the neighborhood. So we encourage you to vote yes today, and thanks for listening to me.
Thank you. Would you please state your address for the record?
3520 Meadow Drive, Boise, Idaho, 83706.
Thank you. And next we have Tomczak.
Hello, I'm Tomczak, and my address is 2258 Longmont Avenue. I don't live relatively close to the park, but my opposition is for the fact of many times, and I have done some research on this, and often what happens with these parks, and I'm not sure what age range you are gearing the park to, but oftentimes what happens, it brings in a bad element. And for lack of a better word, the word predator comes to mind. And some of these people, usually a little older than the kids that are using the park, they will come in and talk to the young kids and coerce them or talk them into, selling of drugs or other nefarious sort of activities, which I don't have kids, but I am really concerned about those things happening to any of our children in our community. So that really is my point. And I'm wondering if this goes through, which I hope it doesn't, for that reason. Is there security cameras going to be placed in case things do happen that are unlawful and somebody does get hurt, that there is some recourse that they can follow up with security cameras? And what is the age range that you are looking at here? I'm kind of curious. It wasn't really specified.
Would you like to address that, Superintendent?
Sure, Madam President, Commissioners, this is really geared towards our entry level kind of skaters. So it's intended, as Lori said, for kids who are, within a 1 mile area that will probably scooter skate to the site. It's an introduction into the sport. So I think we're generally looking at a lot younger users here. The level of complexity of the amenities that we're providing would not be something that like a grown-up skater would never be interested in, but it would probably bore older people who are skaters.
And so
Thank
when
you,
you say that,
Superintendent.
are you talking 8 to 12, 12 to 13? I mean, 12 to 15 or what? Younger than that? 6 to 10?
Madam President, there's no specific age range. I've seen kids as young as 3 at Rhodes, which I thought was incredible. But it's really geared towards those younger users. You might get kids up 12, 14 who are using it, I would
Okay.
say, but I think 14 is probably the ceiling. I don't know if you guys want to speak to that a little bit, or if that's about where we're at. Yeah, there's no real science behind it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So there's no big, large features going.
Okay.
Pretty small.
So, and you presume or foresee that there will be, nobody can do that actually, is to say, no, there's not going to be any bad influences coming into the area is really my concern. And once those type of things start to roll, they grow quickly and they cause a lot of damage. And I know it sounds like a horrible thing because I'm saying, I think kids should have a place to go and there should be alternatives, but the parks, I don't know if it's the answer, especially where it's going to be located. And thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and I don't have anyone else on my sheet. So I assume we're going to go to our online, and if there are any online participants.
Commissioner President, there are a couple folks online. If you are tuned in and you wish to present testimony, can you please use the raise hand feature on the Zoom? And I will just go down that list. And it looks like I have a Susan Bolin that is up first.
Hi, Susan Bolin, address is 2247 South Colorado Avenue. I am one of the homeowners who is adjacent to the original site. So I'm glad that you saw the folly in that location because it would totally destroy the use of my property. Plunking this in the middle of a residential park, I think, is a tremendously bad idea. My son was a skater. I see the value in skate parks, but they weren't disrupting an existing, quiet, family-friendly, pet-friendly area. I believe these need to be more standalone. And I feel like it's just being crammed in there between the pool and the ballpark and jamming up against the walking path. And I know if I'm walking my dog in that park, he's not going to be thrilled walking past that skate park. And the noise in my own backyard is going to be disruptive to him. He's not going to enjoy his own backyard because of the noise. And I share the other woman's concern about, and Tony's, about how is this going to be policed after dark? This is a park. Parks are closed at dusk. How are they going to enforce that? My backyard is never dark because that parking lot is lit up all night. It's going to be plenty light for kids to skate. And 12, 13, 14-year-old kids, they're going to be out after dark, especially in the summertime. I just think this is a tremendously bad idea. And just because someone's offering to pay for it, I think this is one particular gift horse that we need to look in the mouth and say, maybe not a good idea. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Commission President, I do not see any other hands raised on the Zoom call.
Okay, at this time, we're going to go ahead and close public testimony. Do we have any discussion, any questions?
Just real quick, I'm just trying to sort through all the information that we have. And I appreciate the process too, where, we sent that out and had so many responses on the first rendering, and then we moved it after the feedback of the 20% being opposed to that first initial location. And I understand there was like 22 or 24 emails that came back in and the 2 that opposed. And obviously, we've heard from 3 today that are opposed. I'm just trying to sort this out in my mind. Being a principal as well for a long time at a high school, I can tell you that it's so valuable to have a safe and productive place for the kids to skateboard. The Skateboard Association would be somewhat disappointed sometimes in principals that talk to the kids about, the campus at Capitol High School was not a safe place to skateboard. But there are other places to do that. And I guess personally, knowing that we have so many kids that enjoy this sport, having other places really throughout the city, in my mind, to help with that. Kids obviously at Capitol would have a ways to go to get to some of the other skate parks, but having a little bit of a process to work through to where we could have more of these throughout our city, I think is a positive thing for our kids. It's safe. It's something we can monitor. It's all together. And actually having a kind of an entry-level skate park is going to attract a lot of young kids and give them something to do. And it's outside, right? And so during COVID, I think that could be a good thing. I'm just wondering what the other commissioner members feel about, having 24 emails that come in and only 2 not supporting that is a pretty strong statement of they appreciate the process. I think people like the location. I'm just I like looking at the data that was in our packet to read, and gosh, if it was something that was kind of 50-50, or certainly the other way, that we only had 2 people in favor of this and quite a bit of opposition, an overwhelming opposition, I guess I might feel different. But I'm thinking my first initial reaction to this and listening to what this could be, it seems that I would be in favor of looking at this, but would love to hear from others.
I'm happy to give my reaction too. I do appreciate folks coming in and taking the time to express their concern. What I find counterbalancing that, in addition to what Commissioner Rosiska has said regarding the emails and support, is that the folks at Parks and Rec have made a genuine effort to centralize some of the areas of noise by moving it towards the pool, which I'm sure generates some noise also. As a commissioner, those concerns about neighbors need to take those seriously, but I also keep in mind that it is a park, and the beauty of the park is activity. And sometimes activity does generate noise, and we've got to balance it to a certain extent. But from my perspective, this is a nice solution to provide a meaningful amenity that is not accessible to a lot of people who would have to travel too far to go to Fort Boise or Rhodes Park. And I will say, as somebody who lives next to the robust park, a skate park at Fort Boise, I walk by there about every night with my dog, and it's just a great scene. Whatever the stigma is that sometimes is attached to skateboarding, I don't think is justified when you look at how well the parks have worked here in town, and how that sport has thrived in the spots where we've provided kids and adults opportunities to enjoy the sport. So my perspective is the concerns are expressed and heartfelt by those neighboring it, and I understand that. But from my perspective, this is a nice solution to minimize the impact, but still provide the benefit.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to echo what these two commissioners have said, that I do appreciate always input from the public and the testimony that was given today, and also the time that people took to write emails, and as they said, overwhelmingly in favor of this little spot. And that is another, I guess, clarification that I see in terms of it's not really a skateboard park at the level we see at Rhodes Park, but it's a little spot, kind of a training area. That's how I picture it, like a training wheels for skateboards. And the park, definitely, we want the park to be usable for as many people as it can be. And we do want to address concerns neighbors have about noise. And I do so much appreciate the way the department addressed the concerns of the neighbors by moving the spot. But I also wanted to just hear a little bit more, if you can, Director Tomlinson, about the difference between like a skate spot and a skate park.
Sure, Madam President, I'm happy to talk about that. So our skate parks are really, we get users who are a little bit older, and both Rhodes and Fort Boise are very popular with users who live either in the north or the east ends, but Rhodes specifically, we do have people drive to that park. It's a world-class facility. We have had, professional competitions there. It draws a different user than what we are proposing here. Our first skate spot installation at Bowler Park, which is a 3-acre park in Southeast Boise, has been very successful. We generally see kids at that one who I would say are between like 7 to 12, 13, who are using it. And in that one, actually, we see a lot of scooter use, but it is really geared towards people who are, nearby, who don't have to get into a car to travel to it. In that park in particular, we only have like 15 parking spaces. So we really are drawing from neighbors who are directly around it. They're not there for like hours on end. They're there for shorter periods of time. It's a lot of the users that I see at that park are get home from school, take your, scooter skateboard over, go over there for like an hour and then go home for dinner. So that's kind of the demographic that we're looking at. We are looking at late elementary, early junior high, as far as like the age range is concerned. Our parks do close at dusk. If there are people in the park after that, police will be by to kindly ask them to leave. And we do that in all of our parks now. If we do see an issue, we immediately notify police and then they immediately put it on their route. So we have a great working relationship with our police department as far as that is concerned. And it's small. This is even smaller than what we have at Bowler. So I wouldn't anticipate more than like 4 or 5 kids being on it at a time. I just don't think the space that we have, I don't think we have the capacity to see that many more kids using it like at one time. So you're right in your training wheel kind of simile. That's pretty much what it is. It's an educational experience for kids. So they could really work to start building up that confidence that Josh was talking about as far as experiencing skating. There is a lot of failure in it. So, and you have to really try to get good at it. So this is really where kids can go to start. It's almost an entry point into the sport for them.
Yeah, Madam President, Commission members, and I'm glad, Jennifer, you brought up the connection we have with police. All of our parks are open, sunrise to sunset. So there's always challenges regardless of what the amenities we have in any of our park locations with keeping people out after dark. In this instance too, though, where you're talking about an amenity that is a small skate facility, the skating community is a community. And so we do have the ability through the association, the contacts of the association to make sure that folks understand, they need to be out of there at dark. And if there's an issue, we have no issue reaching out to the association. They get the word out. They just have a tremendous network to be able to help us in getting the word out when there are issues that are occurring. So, between that and the fact if we have some issues, we will certainly notify our bike patrol or our police patrol. But I think the other point Jennifer made that I think we need to emphasize is this is not roads. We're not going to have 75 kids at a time skating here. So it'll be a very small number and it is entry-level park. So, I think it'd be very controllable from the Sunset perspective. So I don't think that's a big deal. I don't see us putting cameras here, at least at this point in time, although we're deploying cameras in a lot of different locations within our park system. So I wouldn't say that would be something that would never occur, but at this point in time, that is not something that that would be planning on doing.
Madam President, if I could just add one more point. So the concept that we're showing on the screen, that was our preliminary concept for a rectangular area. We have a lot of flexibility in the design to make it as large or as small as we want to. So we can really address buffering between the pathway to try to separate those uses as much as we can. And we can kind of smush it over so that there is a good section between the pathway and the actual users of the skate park. So we don't anticipate like a lot of people hanging around it. But really, I think we're fairly limited in not only how long somebody would stay there, but just in the number of people that can access it or get on it.
Thank you, Superintendent. Okay.
I have one comment,
Yes.
or maybe a couple, but Jennifer, is it accurate? I just measured using a Google map function, but it looks to be about 300 feet from the nearest home. Do you know if that's accurate?
Madam President, Commissioner, I do not know exactly that measurement, but the location was chosen due to its centralness inside of the park to get as far away from the homes as we could.
So I use this feature in my day job quite a bit, and it's very accurate. So over 330 feet was kind of the nearest I could find, which is about a football field. That is a long, long way. So I know I understand the concern, and I probably would be too if I was right next to this, but I think that's a long way for noise to travel, depending upon the wind blowing, traffic on the road, other things. So, but one question, is it all right at the surface, or will there be any digging down for this park?
Madam President, Commissioner, I don't anticipate that there will be any digging down. It should all be fairly surface mounted. We generally try not to avoid excavation where we can, just because it's really expensive.
Cost.
Yeah, it's a cost issue, but yeah, it'll be fairly ground level. And I don't anticipate any of the features being any higher than maybe 18 to 24 inches at at the
Mhm.
max.
Okay, well, and I think also if this does go through and the park is built and it's very successful and there are issues with noise, then there's ways to even address that with shrubbery or some sound walls or something like that. So I think there's some solutions that we could address in the future if it does become a problem.
It looks like Commissioner Baber may have a question or comment.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I have a comment, actually. My son is a skateboarder and he's 30 now, but and I used to have to drive him, to roads and some of the other bigger parks. And, we had to make a makeshift little skate area between the ages of 6 and probably 12, because I couldn't get him down there as often. But I know skateboarding kind of saved my kid's life. My kid was kind of an isolated kid and he could do that sport by himself. And what a blessing it would have been if we had that type of a situation in a park near our home. So I'm in agreement. I understand, and I definitely want to say that I'm not at all pushing away the concerned residents in that area. But I also looked at the paperwork, and just like many of the other commissioners have said, it's quite a ways away. And I think that the park should be accessible to the whole community. And if we can make it more accessible to a marginalized group of people like young kids to give them some exercise and outdoor entertainment, I think it would be behooving to us to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baber. Okay, well, it looks like the department is requesting that we make a motion to adopt or deny the master plan revision.
Well, I just think after hearing from everybody and just kind of synthesizing all of this and looking at the, at the support and just hearing all of this in totality, I think I would like to move that we approve the master plan for Ivywild Park and the skate park as presented today.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, it looks like next up, we have a presentation from our superintendent of recreation.
There we go. Thank you, Madam President, members of the commission. My name is Roseanne Brown, and as Madam President said, I am superintendent of the Recreation Division for the Parks and Recreation Department, and I'm much taller than Jennifer, so I'm going to move that up. So much taller than Jennifer. Thank you so much for letting me come today and talk about my division. It is an amazing honor to run this. And before I was superintendent of recreation, I ran the community centers at school sites. So if I talk a lot about them, it's because that's where I started and it's kind of my heart. So a little bit of an overview. We have lots of stuff going on with the recreation. We have our facilities of the Senior Center for Boise, Idaho Ice World, our 2 wonderful golf courses, Quail Hollow and Warm Springs, and the school-based community centers that I mentioned before. Programs, this is just a really high-level view of what we do, but visual and performing arts, we have a very robust program there. Adaptive recreation, it is absolutely not only the Treasure Valley, but the state's best program. And we constantly get questions and comments and people ask for suggestions for their programs in smaller areas. Adult sports, play camps, which is a all-day, basically daycare during the summer at our local parks. Youth camps, that's anywhere from biking, skating, kind of more not our non-traditional sports. We let our clubs take care of those types of opportunities. So we want to reach the kiddos that maybe do something that's a little more of an alternative opportunity. Senior services, we were able to take over the Dick Erdley Senior Center a couple of years ago, and it's been an amazing experience. I think senior services was something that we were lacking in our department, and by taking over that facility, we've really been able to expand that program, and we partner with AARP to make sure that we are identifying the needs of older adults and providing opportunities and experiences for them. Teens, love our teens. We have some community centers that are targeted towards teens and programming. Definitely focus on the junior high area before they start driving, because that's when they tend to get into some trouble. So we want to make sure that we're providing positive opportunities for them. Hockey, figure skating, and learn to skate at Idaho Ice World. Very much a growing sport, very much a passionate group that enjoys what they do and loves that facility because it is a regional facility. CenturyLink only has small opportunities, and then the next one is up in McCall. So a lot of people require that space and that service. Scholarships. We have an incredibly robust scholarship program that I'll talk about a little bit later. The city is very generous in providing opportunities for kids who can't afford to participate in our programs. Very much so, our programs are affordable. It's been a mission of ours to make sure they're affordable, but even that does not do it for some of our kiddos. And so we make sure that there's absolutely no reason for any child who wants to participate in one of our programs, they get to. We make it happen. And our Lifetime and Leisure Opportunities is targeted towards senior services, and that's folks who want to go places and have fun and just need a little bit of structure and guidance through us to get there. We even send folks out of the United States on certain programs. So it's a really fun program that we've partnered with lots of organizations on. Okay, highlights. Idaho Ice World. We had to do a little bit of a restructure with COVID. We had to shut down, which was detrimental to those users, just because what I explained before, they didn't have an opportunity to participate in those programs at another facility. We were able to get it back up and running with some very strict COVID requirements. However, those participants have really rallied, those clubs have really rallied and been supportive of what we need to do to keep that facility open. And with that restructure, I did some internal employee restructuring of that facility because we definitely want that to be solvent. We don't want to take money from the general fund. We have lots of needs in this city that money can be dedicated to. And so we've worked very, very hard to make that facility be that way. And I really do feel like we're on the right track. It was very much like pools before. You don't make money in pools. You just don't. There's no way. But with Ice World, I think we've figured it out. And so I'm really excited to see how that turns out, because I think it's going to be pretty great. Quail Hollow and Warm Springs never closed during COVID. And I don't know if this is the way I'm supposed to say it, but they have rocked it like crazy. They made over $1 million during COVID. And they have worked really hard. Some older adults who participate in our golf courses weren't really excited about the masks. Got a little bit of pushback, but our customer service at those golf courses are top notch. They're exceptional, and they made it work. And there was things with the carts. There's so many things that we had to work around. And the team members that are on those golf courses were phenomenal. And if I could give them a big old shiny star, I would, because they made it happen. And it really helped our budget, as Director Holloway would say, because they did an amazing job. So I needed to highlight those golf courses. And programming during COVID, not gonna lie, it's been really hard, right? But it's hard for everybody. It's hard for the schools. It's hard for different programs throughout our community. We're all in the same boat. And I'm really proud of our city, even though a lot of people might disagree, but our more strict or conservative ways of keeping our community safe is the right thing to do. And we do it in our programs, and they comply. And now that we've been in COVID for 2 years, people understand, people don't like it, but they'll do it because they want to participate or be in our facilities. And my team members who face those customers every day, who've done it with a smile since day one, understand the feelings of our participants, understand that this is hard, and have dealt with it with grace and compassion. And I'm just really proud of them as well. Also, at the senior center, we had a little holiday lunch today. And as I was serving, some of the participants were like, yeah, we can't play bridge and we can't do this, but you know what? We figured out how to do a card game this way. We just put it all on a tray and we push it the 6 feet to the person next to me and it's all good. And I just wanted to tear up because this is older adults who, and I don't mean to stigmatize, but don't like change and don't want to do those sorts of things. And we brought them in and we let them be part of the brainstorming solution. And it was really, really positive. So our scholarship program, yes, that says $200,000. When we started, or not when we started, when Director Holloway was the superintendent, I don't know exactly where we were at, but I believe it was under 100,000. And the city has graciously given us more money because the need has gotten higher. And what we've done is we have 2 types of scholarships. We have an internal and external. Internal is kind of our basic ones where you give us your financial situation and you get a percentage based on a formula. It's pretty textbook. But we brought the external scholarship opportunity to the division. And that is, we just need a principal or a counselor at a school to sign off that this family is in need and they get 100%. So a lot of families don't want to give us financial information. They're either embarrassed, maybe they don't have time, maybe they don't have the information readily available. So to be able to have this is huge. And we work directly with the counselors about March, April, to make sure those kids that go to our community centers or any other child in need are at our play camps because they're safe, they're fed, and they have an incredible opportunity and experience at those camps. So that's been amazing. And that is how we've been able to reach more children. We've also dedicated $10,000 to adaptive recreation because those are typically adults. So we've had to make sure that that was identified. And then obviously senior services got $10,000 as well. Something else that we do is we have a very robust art program through our visual arts that go into the schools and teach every single grade twice a year for free at these Title I schools. Art, it's lower on the priority list in the schools. And so for us to come in and be able to do that is amazing. And we're teaching pottery. Like we're not throwing out crayons. Like we're teaching them art with a quality instructor. So we're really proud of that program. We probably spend about 60 grand on providing that opportunity to the school districts. Community centers. I could talk like this for an hour, but Director Holloway made it very clear that I'm not going to do that. So I won't. But when I came on in 2008, we opened Morley Nelson and Grace Jordan. That's why I got hired, was to open those 2 community centers. And then we opened Whitney a year later in partnership with the school district. And I remember reading the plan on it. And it was like, we're really hoping to reach 40 kids at each center. Yeah, well, that didn't happen. Morley Nelson and Whitney reaches about 150 a day. This is pre-COVID. And then we said, well, okay, we need to open some more community centers. So we partnered with the school district and we opened community centers within the school with existing space or portables. So we reached a smaller amount of children, but still maxing out on space. And at one point we were reaching 800 kids a day. Easy. Now, that's controlled chaos. So we had to change a few things to make sure that we were still providing quality programming. We weren't just a babysitter. And I feel like we've done that. And then COVID hit. And so now we have a reduced amount of children who can be in the facility, so we can make sure that we can do spacing. They wear masks, all those sorts of things. And it's significantly less. Now we are only allowing 60 at Morley and Whitney, and we're hoping that that will expand once. How I tell my team is I don't say when COVID goes away. I say when COVID finds its place. And when COVID finds its place, then hopefully we'll start to build those numbers back up. We also do a registration process now where it was drop-in before, just so that we can have more accountability with the parents. And it's been wildly successful. As you can see on there, McMillan Kid City is in the West Ada School District. And we were able to, within the city limits, and we were able to provide that with them as well. We have a phenomenal relationship with Boise School District and our joint use agreement, and we're building one with West Ada. So that is amazing. And then of course, Fort Boise and the Dick Early Senior Center. And Hillcrest isn't open yet because that's our brand new site, and we will once we can find staff. And that's all I need to say about the staffing issue. So this is Emily Kovorick. She is our adaptive recreation guru. And we just wanted a fun picture with her and a participant. So Director Holloway, I do believe I kept that at 10 minutes like you requested. And yeah, any questions or comments, I would be happy to answer. I can talk about my team for hours, so be careful what you ask. And I'm ready.
Superintendent Brown, I just wanted to, you kind of mentioned this, but I just wanted to toot the department's horn and your horn on this. When, COVID hit and schools were closed down, daycares were closed down, and kids didn't have anywhere to go, this city pivoted and your department pivoted, and we had a place for kids to go. We had help for them for digital school. And I just wanted to give you a little clap for that.
Thank you, Madam President. I really appreciate you bringing that up. Commissioners, we did an all-day care for kids at a couple of our centers right when COVID hit. And that was a little scary for some of my team members, but we absolutely sat there with the kiddos for the school. And it was with some of the kids, especially the refugees, that we had staff sit with them all day to make sure that they are having a learning environment. And it was fun. It was hard, but it was amazing. Like if I asked those folks now, they all would say what an incredible experience that was once the fear subsided a little bit.
I would just tag along on there because I think your department is amazing. I think you're amazing. So are your people. You have a lot of good people. There's so many things in your department that are, they're amazing. And you hit on a bunch of them. I can tell you, like the golf courses, without our 2 city golf courses, our junior golf program would not exist. And we're just struggling getting on any golf course in our city for kids to golf. But your staff at those 2 city golf courses, those guys are great. In fact, they should take the rest of the time off can't approve that today. But there's many more. The community centers, of course, just what our president was talking about, and taking care of families and all that time with food. Because it was really hard for so many families, and you guys stepped up. And then Fort Boise, the community center, all of those people, Paula Lawson and Marcy and Carrie, just all those guys take care of us in tennis courts, right? So we have a really great relationship with, adults that want to play tennis and the kids, and that's kind of one of those scheduling things. But your team just, taekwondo. I could go on for an hour as well of just how awesome and the relationship of just helping kids. It's all focused around trying to help these kids and the families. And man, it's just, it's just super awesome. Like I said, you guys have awesome programs and your people are awesome. And please share with them just how much we appreciate everything they do for our schools, our kids, and the neighborhood schools. It's working, and it's really fun to be part of that. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'll be around here forever, but I know this particular thing, I'll remember, just say, we're really lucky and blessed to have all of this for our families and our kids. So super awesome to hear about everything that you're doing. But you guys are just, you guys are just a great department. Appreciate it. Is your evaluation coming up soon?
Madam President, Commissioner Ruzicka, thank you so much. I think the school district relationship is very unique. When I go to different conferences, they don't get along. They just don't. And even in the summer, you know, the Idaho Food Bank was so overwhelmed, they couldn't do the picnic in the park program. And we partnered with the school district and we just took it on. And we fed those families, and we couldn't do it without you. So it's kind of a love fest when it comes to that. We just really are able to help each other.
Thank you.
So thank you.
All right, we do have another commission meeting coming in right after us, but I see that my brain, Councilmember Sanchez has her hand raised, so I would like to hear what she has to say.
Thank you so much, Chair. First of all, I just want to thank all of you for your continued service on the commission, and of course, thank our Parks and Rec staff, who I believe are among the unsung heroes in the city of Boise and meeting the needs of our community that have become more pressing in the last couple of years. I just want to reemphasize the significance of this work that Parks and Rec has provided to our community at this time of crisis that you know, we've had to make room for. It's, you know, I think many of us thought we would be beyond having to make so much room for COVID at this point, and it's still with us. And I just want to point out the significance of the work that was just shared with us. You know, all you have to do is look at the data that has been provided to our community about the skyrocketing rates of domestic violence that has taken place in our community during COVID, the increasing issue of mental health crisis that a lot of our community members are experiencing. So although on its surface, the work of the park system definitely conveys a lot of fun and joy, the serious impact of these resources to our community, I can't emphasize it enough. So I just want to, on a personal note, thank everyone for the work that they do and for the way that you do it. You do it with a sacred heart for public service. And as Commissioner Baber has said, all of these amenities are a true blessing for our community, and the impact that it has on the overall health of our community cannot be overstated. So thank you all so much for your efforts.
Madam President, Commission members, thank you, Council Member Sanchez. I don't think we have a bigger supporter in this community than you. And so you recognize the need of the services that we provide. And you also recognize that it's not just recreation, it actually is social service work that we're doing. And Roseanne and her team recognize that. And there is a lot of fun things going on and a lot of great things we get to do with kids. But in the end, our demographic we work with is much different than a lot of the other organizations. And we truly are there to try to provide the services to those that might not otherwise have access to those. And so your continued support obviously is extremely important in us delivering those services. So we really appreciate that. And Roseanne and her team have done a phenomenal job. And I'm not going to pile on now with everybody else, but obviously Roseanne knows recreation has a soft spot with me because I had her role prior to her moving into that role. So when she talked about the scholarship piece, and I'll leave it on this note, 20 years ago, we did 244 scholarship activities for children. And I think the total amount was somewhere in the $3,000 range. Our last pre-COVID year, we did almost 17,000 scholarship activities for children and topped that $200,000 note. So one would say, well, that's because our community's grown and, you know, the need is out there and all those things. And some of that is true, but really it's the factor that's driving that is our ability to do better outreach and to better coordinate with organizations within the community and identify families, identify children. The school district relationship is obviously extremely phenomenal and very important, but we have relationships with all kinds of organizations in the community. That external scholarship piece that Roseanne touched upon, and she could have talked about just scholarships for 2 hours as well, is very important because we're trusting the community with tax dollars to say, we know a family, we know kids, they need help. And we say, great, sign the form, get it to us, we'll get them involved. And so that relationship has really been very important in the community to be able to reach the appropriate folks in the demographic we're looking at that need the help. And we'll continue to do that. And you continue to support it, Councilmember Sanchez. We appreciate that. So again, thank you, Roseanne, for the presentation and the update. You guys are doing a phenomenal job.
Yes, thank you, Superintendent Brown. Thank you, Director Holloway. So we have no further business. So if I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I ask a question? You guys have like a pamphlet or anything with like the next meetings coming up? My phone just isn't super reliable. Oh, yeah, I'll connect with you. You can print one out for me? Okay.
Yes, she'll work with you on our schedule.
Do you have any like, I don't mean to be crude, but like COVID related, like meetings?
Well, do we have any COVID related meetings coming up? Not this board regarding COVID policy, probably city council.
I thought
This is the Parks and Recreation Commission.
oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Hope you learned something, or at least.
Skate parks are great.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we had a motion. Did we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hi.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Cool.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy
Yeah,
holidays.
happy holidays.
Councilman
See you, everyone.
Lisa.